Hey guys, welcome back to Testin' with Destin, the series where I go over just heroes and I test them. And today we have Xaris. Now Xaris is about to come out. By the time this video comes out, he will pretty much already be out. And I've been seeing a lot of people really underrate him. So I really just gotta set the record straight. Xaris is really cool. I'm a big fan. He's one of the most fun heroes in the game, for sure. And while he is a little niche, his niche that he fills is so insanely strong, the way he does it, that he really is amazing. And I'll elaborate a little bit more, of course, as we go. But to start off every testing video, I gotta go over the kit a little bit. And Xaris has a very complicated kit, so hopefully I can help you guys understand a little bit. So to start off really quickly, we get with the talent. The talent is he summons 3 Souls of the Damned when first deployed, so when you place him down for the first time. And Souls of the Damned inherit 100% of the Master's attributes and assist the Master in attacking enemies in range. Each attack deals 80% AOE magic damage to up to 5 enemies. Souls of the Damned exist for 30 seconds, And the weird thing about Xaris' kit is he does not have an actual basic attack at all. He just does it. He's one of the few heroes in the game who does not have a basic attack. We'll go over his basic pretty soon, but just know that his main source of damage and his only source of damage is through his summons. So when you place him down, he gets 3 summons and they all inherit all of his stats, which is really strong, and they do AOE damage. Now to go into the basic attack here, which, like I said, doesn't do damage, but it does do a lot of other things. It's one of the most unique basics in the game. If we look at the range, it is a basic mage range, and that aside, we have the basic attack, which is when there are no Souls of Damned on the field, once again the summons, he restores 10 rage per second, which is a lot. And when there are Souls of the Damned on the field, the hero's basic attack will launch Coercion instead, which attacks one of the Souls of the Damned every 4 seconds, and increases their damage by 40% for 5 seconds, yet reducing their existence time for 5 seconds. So they last less time, but they do more damage, which is pretty cool. And then the basic attack is also unaffected by attack speed bonus, so attack speed does literally nothing. Now, it is a little weird because he functionally doesn't do any basic attack type things, except for when there are summons on the field. Because when there are no summons on the field, he doesn't do basics, he just restores rage, which is really weird, really interesting. And I kind of like what they're going with here because it's super unique. I love unique things in this game, so that's probably why I like Xaris so much. Now, the first passive is when summoned, Souls of the Damned enhance their next 3 attacks, each dealing 220% damage and inflicting slow. Slow is amazing for cultists. I probably should have gone over it a little earlier, but this is a cultist mage. They're making cultists better progressively. Bubba is coming out. You know, we got Xaris, we got all of this stuff. So that is clear what they're going with. Slow is really good for cultists because stuff like Demi, or I think even the basic Lord skill, the more slow you have out, the more damage you're going to do, which is really cool. And slow is one of the strongest CCs in the game. It is 25%. So pretty solid passive there. Now the other passive is after any Souls of the Damned disappear, the existence of the remaining Souls of the Damned will be extended by 2 seconds, which is pretty cool. You know, when things are expiring, it'll make the other ones last longer. Pretty interesting there. Now the ultimate is probably the highlight of the kit, and as you could see before we read it, the cost is only 600, which is one of the cheapest ultimates in the game. And then we get to what it actually does. It is manual, by the way, which is great. It summons 4 Souls of the Damned and reduces the summon number by 1, which each ultimate casts. So the way this is going to work is the first ultimate you do with him is going to be 4 summons. And then the next one is going to be 3 summons, and then 2, and then 1, and it cannot go below 1. So this is actually really cool. Because if you pair this really fast alt, and he gets a lot of initial cost, with the talent, you're going to immediately start with 7 summons on the field, each doing AoE damage to essentially his stats, which is really, really good. And the damage output is unparalleled. He has one of the strongest AoE nukes in the game, and you're going to really see how he really excels in AoE Arena, especially, and a lot of other AoE content a little bit later, to the point where no one else can really compare. Now, I will also say with his stats, if I can find where his stats are, he is only 12 cost. So he costs almost nothing, and he does a ton of damage immediately. And the way he's supposed to work is you place him down, then when you're done doing everything you want him to do, then you sell him, and then when he's ready next, you're able to have his full ultimate ready with that, 4 damage again. Now, awakening wise, let's just kind of speed run through this. The A1 is really, really strong. With his talent, he summons 3 on deployment. Instead, with the A1, it's going to be 5, so you can start the match with essentially 9 summons down. The AoE damage is ridiculous. This is a very, very good A1. His A2 is more attack, which is great. A3 is when there are no Souls of the Damned on the field. Each of the time the hero restores rage, which is every second, there's a 5% chance to instantly gain full rage. This is very, very strong. Is it something that is in effect all the time? No, it is conditional, but it is pretty cool. Though his rage cost is pretty low, so you're not going to get the most use out of this. Still a solid A3. The A4 is good. Penetration is always great for A4s. And the A5 increases the effect duration of coercion on Souls of the Damned by 5 seconds. So instead of lasting for 5 seconds, it lasts for 10 seconds with the damage boost. It's okay, but I wouldn't recommend going for it to anyone ever. Now, the build is we have Tear of Twilight. Tear of Twilight is always the best for these damage dealers. And then we have this as the build. It is a pretty good build. We have attack on all of these pieces. And then, as you can see here, we also have a variant piece. And I had to put it on. Is it possible that I could do it without this and have it be more quote-unquote accessible gear-wise for most people? Yes. But this is just such a cool ability that we're really never going to get that much, of use out of. So I figured I would use it. Then we got that Warlord weapon, really good there, and then the Warlord breastplate. Now, before we get into the testing, and I will test it in a couple areas, the main ones are, I want to show you that he can do single target damage somehow because he does so much damage, and just kind of demonstrate how he works. And then I want to show the arena stuff, because I think the arena stuff is the most important, and I don't want to leave that to the end, because I want to show you guys as soon as possible. And then I'm going to go into some general AoE stuff. He's not usable everywhere, because he is niche, as you could kind of see by his kit, but I will definitely dive deep into that. The thing about Xaris that's really, really interesting and makes him a potentially more viable hero over time is going to be the fact that there are rumors that summoner content is going to be more important and a lot more prevalent in the future. We may even get content in the future where you have to have summoners. So keep that in mind when you're pulling for him or not pulling for him, that he may be important because of that. Now, I cannot guarantee it, but that is something to keep in mind. So to start off, I'm going to go into AMR 18 right here. Pod is off, and I just want to show you his initial damage. Now, I will take out Constance. I was trying her. Her Invig didn't seem to do much. I just can't tell if you need the Invig out. I mean, not the Invig, the inspiration before he puts out his souls. I don't fully know, but it wasn't really doing much. Now, here we're going to kind of wait a little bit. I just was using Venoma to get his ult even faster, even though he almost starts with it anyways. We're going to start with putting him down. We get 3 summons down, all inheriting his attributes. And then we're going to trigger his ult and get another 4. And you're just going to see his health bar freaking delete. Look at that. This is AoE damage, by the way. Like, is that not kind of crazy? Like, look at this. They're just nuking him over and over again. He's putting out like the basics to kind of increase their damage. The boss is going to heal a little bit here, but well. And then we trigger the ult, does a ton of burst damage, and we keep it going. He almost is killing these people. The only reason why we're not, killing it is because these freaking minions keep coming in and ruining the party, ruining the experiment. But you get the idea. If you put Invig on him, he will kill the boss, and when I was using Constance, the Invig did actually help him kill it. You can kind of get the idea there. When he triggers ult or when he summons stuff, he does so much damage. It is ridiculous. And he really starts at the beginning with a ton of damage. And then it falls off a cliff after. And that's just how Xaris works. So when it comes to Arena, let me just quickly go through his viability. I cannot show you a live run, but I do have some recordings and stuff for you guys. So keep that in mind, that I will show that in a second. But here with this single target DPS, the leaderboard is going to be a little bit off. So if you see here, it is going to be fully reliant on whoever's highest in single target. But yesterday it was AOE, so we get to kind of look for some AOE teams. And while Ingrid is still very strong, and I'm going to show you that in a bit, that Ingrid still can beat Xaris comps, Xaris is really the only counter. Because if you remember on Global, if you look in the leaderboards, it's all going to be Ingrid. There's nothing other than Ingrid Praetus, or just Ingrid. You know, Ingrid is just so freaking important. And while Xaris is not a full counter, he is amazing because the top teams that there were for this AoE were also using Ingrid with Xaris. This is the meta comp, if you didn't know, on Forerunner. Now, there are more people on Global. There are better, like, theory crafters and stuff, no offense to Forerunner people. So, you do have to keep that in mind as well, just in case, because we will get a little bit of a shakeup, I do assume. But this is a very strong team here. If you do not have Praetus or you do not have Ingrid, there's still some viability here. That's not one of the top teams, but you can just kind of see there's a lot of teams here where people are just putting in Xaris, and he's really having a lot of viability at the beginning, and you can just kind of build off of that. And what you might be noticing with these teams is with these Xaris teams, there's no Cyrene. If you didn't know, Cyrene is so important for AoE and single target because of the cost regen. It lets you get tons of people out immediately, and the fact that they are no longer meta with Xaris teams is kind of funny because you put down Xaris, he kills everything for the first 2-3 rounds, and then you get to place everything for free after. And then what that does late game is, while you are not going to have Praetus Ingrid comps because those are ridiculous with like High Awakenings, you're going to have an extra slot compared to using those comps because those have to have Cyrene. And Xaris also is going to have that really high initial damage, which is going to help a lot soon. Now, I am going to show you guys what I mean by all of this. I'm not just going to be talking out of my ass. So let's move on to the clips. Here we have a video from Oracle Punch. I'll link his channel down below. He let me use this, or he uploaded this purely so I could see it. What you're going to see is him, who is running a meta Praetus Ingrid Ajax comp with Awakenings and everything, Cyrene, all of this stuff. You're going to see him against that quote-unquote Forerunner meta Xaris comp that I showed, and just kind of see how close it is. Because it is impressive how well the Xaris comp is doing against the by far meta comp on the left, and it's just really cool. And I'm going to dissect a little bit of why Xaris is so good at countering Ingrid as we go. So to kind of start off here, what you're going to see is immediately they're able to put Xaris down around the same time that they're able to put Cyrene down. So Xaris is immediately going to burst. And it doesn't really get shown here very fast or very early because that's not when the recording starts. But you can kind of see that everyone kind of got nuked to oblivion, and Oracle had to just immediately put down Valk because otherwise he takes too much damage from Xaris, doing so much damage that he's going to lose. So he has to just immediately try to work around this. And then right here, you can see that Xaris just kind of immediately, I know it's not the best representation, but Xaris is just immediately nuking the entire wave, except for the ones outside of his range, and they're all completely dead. And then Ardea comes in, hitting that little tile, and she can help clean up there. Now, Xaris, obviously, you could see it's 100k a hit over and over again, and this amazing Ingrid comp can still kind of compare in a lot of ways, but you could see that Oracle is already down 50% just by placing down Ingrid, period, to get her down. So like it's impressive how much Xaris is doing just from doing these really fast nukes, and that is why he counters Ingrid so well. Is because the one weakness Ingrid has, which generally for these types of content, like Valderon would counter the Praetus teams for single target, um, he can't be placed to actually hit these tiles, so really there is no counter to Ingrid, right? But Xaris is now the only way. Now, is it a perfect counter? No, it is not. Here, let me just quickly play back at 2x speed to kind of go through. It is going to go very fast, but you're just going to see how Xaris does kind of fall off, and there is a reason why he's not the perfect counter, because as you can see right here, he's doing like no damage now, and while you do get 4 units to kind of clean up, it is still really rough to kind of compare. Now, it's still close, and you'll see it continue to be close, and I'm sure people who are a lot better at Arena will definitely get this stuff down, but you can kind of see that we're now at a deficit for the Xaris team, because Xaris now is functionally doing almost nothing, because he has almost no summons, so it's purely just who has the better comp, and obviously the one that is having the slower start and the stronger finish is going to do a lot better now. So the one on the left, Oracle's comp, is just going to do so much better and just absolutely demolish everything in sight. And if we go ahead a little bit, you're going to see that the Xaris comp is just at a big deficit and cannot win. Is it close? Absolutely. There is no other way to get this close against a really meta Ingrid comp. So personally, I just think that he's really impressive, because the fact that he is an option is really sick. Now let's go on to another match, and then I'll stop, clicking this. If you want to watch the video, you can absolutely go ahead. But you could see right here, immediately, first round, once again, we're down to 50%, and then Xaris is immediately going to do a ton of damage. Obviously, Ardea is going to help a ton, but really, you could only have Xaris, and he would still do that stuff. Oracle is at a deficit, and now Oracle is having to, bring himself back from that, which is really good for the Xaris team. Now, of course, they are struggling here, because Valderon only has 2 tile range. That's literally what it is. It's just there's not 2 Ardeas that are on the field, because obviously you can't do that. And now they are clawing back, but the fact of the matter is, you're going to be able to get the Ingrid teams down a little bit, and then work on getting, it a bit more equalized. So it is pretty cool. Is it a perfect counter? No. But is it a counter? Yes, and that is a big deal. So, of course, Arena is not the only thing that matters with these types of heroes. When it comes to AoE damage, you have to test them in an AoE damage area. And here, I'm just going to show how you can use him in Grade 1. Now, there is a couple ways you could use him. Now that we kind of know how he works, there are, I think, 3 ways you could use him. The one I tried a little bit, and it did work quite well, is I placed him down early on, where he only gets his first deployment thing, and then he gets his ult. And then I used his ult a few times, and I sold him, and then I had him back for the final wave, and he did quite a good job. Or you could do it in a way where you leave him down the whole time, but when it comes to the last wave, which is obviously the most important by far, he's not going to do like any damage at all. And then the other way you could do it is you could only save him for the last wave, place him down, nukes frickin' everything in sight, and everything kind of just dies. So to start off, we're going to try using him on the first wave and then the last wave. I just want to show what happens if you save him only for the last wave after, but I'm not going to show the whole run for that. For the first little bit, we're going to show the first run. So Vierna has full soulbound on, and then we also have Xaris in that set I showed earlier. We're going to put Xaris right there with, all of that. All of the summons are going to be doing great work here, and then we could trigger Xaris ult. And you're just going to see Xaris. I mean, we don't even need to click Vierna ult. Xaris is just going to do absolutely insane damage. It's very rare to kill all of those guys at the start, especially with no pod, which is really cool. So I'm definitely enjoying that. And then we're going to use Xaris ult for the next wave or two. And then I'm going to sell him, and then we're going to use him on the final wave and try to get as much damage out as we can. So here, I'm going to wait a little bit just for this wave up here to come down, just because, you know, we can, and then we'll see what ends up happening. So here, we're going to click this, and then Xaris damage is ridiculous on that first wave, and then it falls off because obviously the first few hits of his summons are always going to do more damage. But here we go, everything is dead. Haven't even clicked Virna ult once, and everything's dead. So here I'm going to sell Xaris pretty quickly, and then we're going to use obviously the rest of the team to do the rest of the damage, and then see how it goes. Now, is Xaris doing a lot of damage? Absolutely. But we are not clicking Virna ult as much as we probably should be. So keep in mind that at the final score, she's going to be doing a lot less damage than she should. So just keep that in mind. But here, everyone's coming in. We put him down. He's not going to summon any minions, unfortunately. But when we click his ult, we're going to get those minions back. We're going to be able to sell him. Go like this. Just kind of trigger all the ults. And then we should be able to trigger his ult again. Of course, Dolores died like a bastard. But, of course, we don't care. Xaris is still going to plow through them like nothing. And there we go. That is basically the stage done as a whole. There is still like 9 enemies in that kind of pile. Still getting healed. We could just keep on clicking the ults and we should be just fine. Boom, there we go. No Dolores is no damage, but you kind of get the idea. It's still pretty solid right there. And there we go. That is the stage done. Now we do have to finish it out just to see the damage stats, but you're going to see he's going to do a lot of damage. And I did test Xaris while I was actually using Virna properly, and it was about 70% of Virna damage, but that was with Xaris on the field barely at all, while Virna was always on the field with Dolores popping every single time. So keep that in mind as well when I say that. But it's still pretty cool. You know, the damage output is really sick, and there's a lot of ways you can use them. Like, for example, the way I'm going to show you in a second once I show these damage stats, and then we'll get into the run. But here we go. This takes freaking forever. What the hell? There we go. See? Damage is pretty solid. If I were triggering a Virna all the time, it would be like 100 to 70 something. So keep that in mind as well. Now, let me show you the other application for him there. Now we are on the final wave. I have not placed Xaris down a single time. Let's just see how much damage he does. I don't know how this is going to go. I have not tested this yet at all. I'm just going to wait a little bit for everything to come in. We will be doing our demi ult if we need to for the anti-healing, but I don't think we need to yet. Dolores ult here. We're going to go over here with Xaris, and then we're going to just kind of keep everyone going. Dolores freaking dies, because of course she does. I don't think it makes the biggest difference ever. And then right here, as you can see, Xaris doing a ton of damage. And we can just kind of keep it going. Xaris again with ults here. And boom, the entire wave is almost dead. Like, look at that burst. Dolores died. I don't even know if he gets Invic, honestly, or Inspiration, because he does so much damage that I don't even notice. But, like, look at that damage. The wave's gone. That was so much faster. What the hell? Wow. Okay, well, I mean, if you want Cerberus on steroids doing far more damage, then just use Xaris. That's the moral of the story here, is what I have learned today. And I'm honestly pretty impressed. He's so fun. Like, I love him. Now, are there other areas I could test him in? Yes, absolutely. I could try him in Gear Dungeon 1. I could try him in AMR 22. All of that stuff. This is him only being placed a single time while Virna was doing all of the damage herself, which is ridiculous. That is a ton of damage for being placed down for about 10, 20 seconds, like 20, 30 seconds. Wow. That is crazy. Like, I know the gear's good, but you gotta give it to him, at least a little bit. Now, I could try him in, like, AMR 22, But the thing is, he's very niche in the ways that you have to really be smart with how you use him, and where you use him, and the times you use him, and everything. And these stages take a long time to beat, to the point where I think it's not really the best test compared to like Grade 1. Because although he will nuke everything, and we've established that for stage 22, the first like 2 waves he's out on, he's going to kill it all on his own easily with very little support. But then what happens on the third one? You lose. That's what it is. And that's what makes Xaris a little rough. And if you just need a bomb or you need supplementary damage, you have an extra slot. He's going to be the best in slot for that, just having that extra damage. But I don't think we're really going to go out of our way to use him specifically, except for Arena. Like I said, he's going to be amazing. When we get Live Arena too, Live Arena, if we can find it here, he's also pretty solid here. He's not perfect by any means. I mean, if you look, he's not full meta in these AOE comps for Live Arena on Forerunner, but you know, he's also still very, very strong here. So keep that in mind, that he's mostly just an arena hero and an AoE nuke, where if you need just that extra damage and you place him down, he's going to be amazing, amazing, amazing. But outside of that application, he's just solid, hard to use. And I understand why not everyone will like him, but as you saw, he has his place in this game. And if we ever get more summoning utility, he's going to be absolutely amazing for that type of role. And that's not even talking about stuff like campaign, where you might just need someone for this like really fast content, because campaign stages are not very long compared to some other things. So he's going to be great for those. And even like Grade 2, he could probably clear a wave or two if you just need like an extra DPS. Like if you can use like Idril, or you can do Silos, or use something, but you need extra damage, just plop him down, boom, kills everything instantly, and you're done. You know, an instant kill button is always a good thing to have. So personally, I think he's worth summoning for. Is he better than Twyla? No one freaking knows, but he is pretty good. And I'm excited that he's coming, and I will be going for him a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. And are you guys pulling for him? What do you guys think? Is he cool? Is he fun? Do you guys like him? Let me know. I like reading the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. And Destined signing out.